In on a very, very special Mother's Day edition of B&T Sports Talk Show. It's been a nice long weekend. We're going to get into we're going to talk a lot about that good old Lakers-Warriors matchup, and then we'll get into some other happenings around the NBA, including a gentleman who didn't like his first chance and is asking for a second one. And we'll talk a little bit more about exactly who that is. If it's your first time listening to us, please drop a like, subscribe to us, hit the notification button. We appreciate it. But first, I'll start off with just saying Happy Mother's Day to all the moms. I spent time with my mother today and my lovely wife, who's the mother of our two children. B, I know you spent some time with Mama Birdie. So again, we want to tell all the moms out there, grandmas, aunties, everybody, Happy Mother's Day from B&T.
Everyone who's basically birthed a child or adopted it, Happy Mother's Day.
That's right. All right. Well,
go ahead.
Here we go.
It's your team show.
So Brian B's been dreading this for some time. We've had some talks and discussions in and around the time of this game, and he and Pat, who was on with us a couple of weeks ago, or was it a week ago? A couple of weeks ago, had picked the Warriors to win in 6. I picked the Lakers to win in 6. Unfortunately, I was right, or fortunately for me at least, I was right. As a Laker fan, this was quite a win for us, considering we were a team that nobody thought would have been even close to sniffing the Western Conference Final. Russell Westbrook coughing the ball up over the top of backboards, missing layups, and our team was abysmal. But here we are, and we're going to kind of jump into a discussion about the game and about the series, and then get into a larger discussion about the future of both teams, the Lakers as far as the future matchup going through the rest of the playoffs, and the Warriors' future in general. So we'll get into that as well. So let's pop it off. Let's start with the Game 6 breakdown, or we'll call it...
Absolute
breakdown. The Warriors broke down in a magnificent way. Unfortunately, Steph could not shoulder the load of carrying these guys in his backpack for so long. They were much too heavy. Starting off with guys like Klay Thompson. But before we get into that, I'm going to kind of talk about what the Lakers did to try to contribute to changing the game and really giving themselves an opportunity to win this series overall. The first thing was, and we talked about this, was the fact that no matter what night we're looking at, a different guy steps up to make a play. Of course, there was Game 4 with the Lonnie Walker, the fourth game, where Lonnie comes through, hits 15 points in the fourth to give the Lakers a very important win in a very close game. And then we had Austin Reeves in Game 6, who showed up and balled out, and really was a pivotal player, especially that 3 at halftime he hit. He had a couple of good...
That was luck.
Yeah, whatever. He made it.
He threw that in the air,
but he made it, though.
I
mean, Jordan Poole was nearby. It couldn't be luck. Anyway, so...
it was damn luck, because he made more buckets than Jordan Poole.
Yeah, he did, and we'll probably get into that a little bit later. But I think what you really have to point in on is how well the Lakers played defensively over the course of the series. I thought we did a great job coming in with a game plan starting off in Game 1 to really put a lot of pressure on the shooters on the perimeter and force guys into AD. Since we're the only team that has an Anthony Davis, we took advantage of him and used him to his maximum potential, mostly as a defensive player, I want to say. He didn't really have a huge offensive, game. He didn't have these games with scoring 40 points or anything like that. He had one 30-point game. But for the most part, we needed him to be special on the defensive end, and that's what he did. So I just think not trying to be rude here, I just think the Lakers were the better team. This was a question.
I mean, you're gonna say that. That's your team.
Yeah, but it's
say that.
I'm
not knocking you for that.
It's the question of.
I'm not.
I said when we did our predictions, it was the question of 3-pointers versus playing in the paint, and playing in the paint won because they were shooting higher percentage shots, And the Lakers did something they did not do very well all season. They made free throws. And and this is mainly for folks
Dude,
that,
let's not talk
yeah,
about
whatever.
the free throw
Yeah,
disparity. I'm
yeah.
not going to discuss that here because we all know that was a pretty terrible number. So let's just not even talk
Oh,
about that.
Frank,
I've never
I
seen
mean,
a
come
free throw
on, man. That,
disparity
yeah,
be beyond all that. I like I've said, yes, the Warriors were not living in the paint,
no.
but when the Warriors got to the paint, you mean to tell me a lot of those shots didn't involve a foul? But for some reason, there was about a 500 free throw disparity between the Lakers and the Warriors there. So we're not going to, well, I'm going to skip that free throw conversation because that's just going to make me jump out the window here. So let's just focus on this. You got to give credit where credit is due. And the Lakers defense absolutely showed up in game 6 because the game plan for the Warriors is what they executed in game 4. All right, the Lakers or the Warriors couldn't have executed a better game plan in Game 4, so they were going to try to run with that in Game 6. The Lakers absolutely shut it down here, and what bugs me the most is the Warriors are letting the most unathletic people get underneath your skin. Dennis Schroeder, for some reason, caused problems for a lot of these guys, and he's like the last guy you would worry about. Like when he got kicked out of the game, I was like, that's the wrong guy that needs to be kicked out right now. It's either I was going to say it needs to be Austin Reeves, it needs to be Rui Hachimura, or it needs to be Anthony Davis. One of those three's got to get kicked out for the Warriors to have a chance, and the wrong guy got kicked out here.
Yeah, I thought that was a weird call, man. That was a weird call, but
it's coming from Draymond too. That like I'm like, how is he not out of this either? You know what I'm saying?
Oh my gosh, man. Yeah.
Credit where the credit is due. The Lakers obviously had a better defensive plan, and for a team that thrives on the jump shot, the first 5 minutes dictated how Game 6 was going to go. Klay Thompson could have not hit water if he was standing in it. Let's just put it like that. The Warriors had too many open shots in that first quarter, and a lot of them I shouldn't say a lot of them. None of them went down. They cannot buy a bucket in that first quarter, and that set the tone for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I thought it was a situation where after 5 or so many games of playing a physical defense, at some point your legs start to get a little weary. And, the Warriors really like to see the basket go through the rim so that they can go through the hoop so they can feel good about them. They're one of those teams that really build off of feeling positive when they get out on the run, when they're moving the ball. When the energy is really flowing is when you see the Warriors play at their best. And what happened was with AD in the middle and our team Lakers being so aggressive above the 3-point line, it really stifled a lot of what they wanted to do, and it really just made guys work harder for the ball. So instead of Klay shooting open threes through most of the series, and this is before Game 6, Klay had no choice but to come off the ball and go downhill. So he ends up shooting step back jumpers. He ends up in a situation trying to go to the rim or trying to find someone else to pass the ball to. It's just taking guys out of their comfort zone and putting them in places where they're not comfortable. And that's what the Lakers did. So if you do that for 3 games or so, eventually, because let's keep in mind, even in Game 5, which the Warriors won, Klay Thompson still only had like 11 points. He still didn't have a great game. You know what I mean? So the guys that carried that game were Andrew Wiggins and Draymond Green. So as a Laker fan, I'm looking at that game going, oh yeah, we're gonna win this series because you can't really replicate that. They're gonna have Draymond go for 25 or 30 in the next game. You're not gonna have Andrew Wiggins go for 20 every single game. He just hasn't been that player, at least maybe not this year. And so far, Jordan Poole and Klay Thompson were pretty much non-existent. So in Game 6, these guys were already fed up. They were already to a point to where they didn't feel the confidence, they didn't feel the positivity. It wasn't fun anymore, and it was like that you start feeling all of that pressure, and it's almost like, it's almost like the light in the tunnel started getting further and further and further and further away every single miss that they put up, and that's how the game went.
And honestly, Klay Thompson should have been in those games where it was garbage time because that's a perfect time to find your shot.
Yeah.
At least
that's the only time Jordan Poole only made shots in garbage time. It seemed like.
Yeah, that's all it was. Let's get our man Drunk is in the chat. The Warriors let him down because he was really wanting us to do a live show for Game 7. I'm kind of glad it didn't happen because I didn't want to see another performance like that. He says. I don't think my heart can take seeing LeBron get another ring. Well, the NBA's got a script, and it looks like the script is on track right now for him to get that fifth ring here. He goes, Warriors gave Moses Moody money to Jordan Poole. What is life?
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, it's hard to say because at that moment, Jordan Poole earned the contract, but this season he didn't live up to the contract, to say the least. And Trunk says, breaking news 2 months early, Steve Kerr has signed a 4-year deal to coach the Phoenix Suns.
yeah, I've been hearing
We'll
some.
talk
I've been
about
hearing some
coaching
rumor mill
carousel
stuff on
later.
that. Yeah.
That's going to be crazy.
But let's jump in. You talked about LeBron and LeBron clinching another title. You know, to speak on LeBron, I won't go too deep into it. This is not the same. We have to remember this is not the same LeBron we've seen in the past. LeBron was very particular about what times in which games to play at his best, and he wasn't really this great offensive player throughout most of the series. He had a good series for sure, but it wasn't like we were relying on LeBron for 40-point, 30-point nights every single game in order to carry us. And I think LeBron has finally gotten into the role that he's been asking for, which is he wants AD to be the focal point. He wants He wants to be more of a facilitator. He wants to pick and choose times to, put his maximum effort in, as Deadpool would say.
Flop on the ground.
Yeah, don't
come
start.
down, shoot a 3-pointer. Stop it.
You wait. But the refs didn't call anything. One. Right. So that's on on your team to pick up the guy. That's not on us. The guy fell down, no whistle blew. You were playing against a 5-on-4, which is not an advantage for us, for the Lakers. And then he just walks up and takes the 3. Look, if you didn't want to guard him, then you didn't want to guard him. What do you want me to do?
I'm just saying that I found that very, very interesting for someone who didn't get hit that hard in the head to just sit there and lay on the ground, and then all of a sudden he's wide open at the top of the key for a 3. You missed me with that, man.
Yeah, well,
anyway, sorry.
There you go. Hey. So I think this is a different type of LeBron we're seeing, and I think as the intensity ramps up, I think LeBron will ramp up too. But the focal point has really been, as we talked about before, who's going to be the next guy to step up. And we saw so much of that with Austin Reeves in the latter part of the series. We had 1 or 2 good D-Lo or we'll call them modest D-Lo games. We actually played fairly well. And then we had the Lonnie Walker game, obviously. So, our team, the way the Lakers are currently constructed, you just don't know where those points are going to come from. And I think that is what is most difficult about playing us. It's like, let's imagine Steph Curry is out there, but Jordan Poole and Jonathan Kuminga, any of those guys could go for 20 points at any night. It makes it more difficult to guard Steph Curry. It makes it more harder to key in on what you want to do. And I'm not saying teams aren't going to key in on LeBron James and Anthony Davis. They will, but you're going to have to accommodate for one other guy. And we've been able to consistently do that throughout the playoffs.
And look at it. The Lakers didn't need this kind of effort from LeBron for 5 games.
Right.
The Warriors got a typical LeBron game in Game 6, and that's when it mattered the most there. But that's what you want from your star player, your big-time player there, is when the series is on the line, especially when you are trying to eliminate a team, for a man of that stature, he has to take over the game. Because everyone is, like you said, it was the talk about Anthony Davis. Rui Hachimura had a good game. Lonnie Walker surprised everyone. Austin Reeves kind of shocked some people. So you know what I'm saying? So you had four different contributors without your main guy having to really take the workload. Game 6, he had to do that because the Lakers couldn't afford for that series to even try to find its way back to Golden State, because who knows what this conversation's like. So for him to take that over, that's what you ask for from your player. But I think in this upcoming series, he's going to need to be the guy in every single aspect here, because he hasn't had to do that all series yet. He's only picked one game, and it's been Game 6 of each game where he's put a stamp on the game. He's going to have to do that for the entire series against Denver in order for them to make that step there. And I cannot believe I'm even making that comment.
Yeah, we'll talk more about the upcoming game. And the last point I'll make is to piggyback on what you were talking about LeBron having guys step up around him, and him not necessarily having to put that effort in until game 6. It's almost the exact reverse for the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
Not just in this series, I think, but throughout most of the playoffs, in that Curry is having to exert himself every single game without having anyone else really step up, except for maybe one out of the blue game. Each series, you get one contributor, and that's nearly an impossible task to ask, unless you're the 24, unless you're the old school Cavs or something, the LeBronettes from the Cav days. It's impossible to ask Steph Curry to carry an entire team on his back, especially when there's supposed to be 2 Hall of Famers in the room, Draymond Green and Klay Thompson. And I can't put the scoring on Draymond because he tried, right? I mean, he put up 21 games.
Yeah.
But Jordan Poole and Klay Thompson were absolute no-shows, and even though I'm a Laker fan and it benefited me, and the defense that we played, it definitely put some pressure on those guys to where it almost looked like they didn't even want to be there. Excuse me. I'll say that about Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole looked like he didn't even want to be there.
He rather have been on a date with Ice Spice than be in this series right now. To be honest,
even if it cost him $500,000. So I thought Klay wanted to contribute, but he just couldn't get a rhythm going and couldn't find it out there. And the Lakers did a good job of making guys play defense who don't want to play defense.
Well, and Klay was just, as the series went on, the shots got worse for him.
Yeah.
It was just some terrible shots, especially in game 4 when he's got 2 guys draped on him and he's running towards the end of the wing and just shooting it already. It was just bad shots from Klay, which is very uncharacteristic of him.
Yeah.
It was just he picked a bad time to have a bad shooting slump, to say the least. There.
Yeah.
And for him not to work himself out of it, I don't know if it was because he finally had a full season under his belt. I don't know if it's due to the age, whatever the case may be. It's hard to say because you don't expect it. It was Curry versus the Lakers.
Yeah.
And all the Lakers had to do was just zone in on Curry.
Yeah.
And they said 6 other guys need to beat us except for this one guy here.
Right.
And that's just gonna shut Curry down real quick.
Yeah. Yeah, and I thought he did the best he could. He had a game where he had a triple-double. He came to this game, I think he had 29 or something like that this past game. So the guy had been competing at a high level throughout the entire series. Just didn't have anybody rolling with him.
Nope.
Yeah. So the let's transition into talking about what happened on the Warriors side, since the Lakers are still playing. We'll talk about them later because they have another game coming up.
Yeah.
Sorry, Brian. Sorry, B. So
I swear to God.
So let's talk about the Warriors. The biggest conversation around this thing, the moment they lost, every single fathead in the entire media universe was like, is this the end of the Warrior dynasty? I mean, everybody. It's the same conversation.
Yeah, those were the first words out of everybody's mouth after the game ended.
Seriously. I mean, they show Curry on the bench with a towel over his face, and that's what everyone's saying. And so I want to put it to you. You're a Warriors fan. Obviously, we've both watched a ton of basketball dynasties. They don't come by often. When you get them, you enjoy them, but at some point they have to end. What do you think about where the Warriors are right now? Is this the end of the dynasty? And when we say that, let's define what that means instead of just blurting out nonsense. Is this the last time that the Golden State Warriors, as constructed, meaning Steph, Klay, and Draymond, will be in competition for a championship?
I think this is the last time you're going to see it. Now, that's all really going to depend on contracts this year.
Yeah.
And the biggest one is Draymond. Now, Draymond can opt in for his player option, or he can opt out and seek a bigger contract here. So what are the Warriors going to do in that aspect there? Because that's going to be a big decision on how much money you want to give to Draymond and how much you're willing to commit to him. And then the following year, Klay Thompson becomes a free agent right after that as well.
Yeah.
So when you look at it, you're looking at 1 year left. If Draymond opts in, now you're looking at a 1 year run. This isn't the end of a dynasty because there's still a guy playing at a very high level, and his name is Stephen Curry. right? He didn't have an off year. If it wasn't for the injuries, he may have been in an MVP conversation. And I'm not saying that as a fan, but just look at his body of work pre-injury and then after the injury. Nothing changed for him. So it's all about what are you going to do to make this last dance happen for one last year, because this is where it's going to come down to. This is the last year for the Warriors coming into the 23-24 season. If we do get a championship run, dynasties end when you are no longer a factor when it comes to playing in the playoffs here.
Yeah.
If they could find a way to sustain it, you have a shot to win a championship here. I mean, that's just my point. So no, the dynasty's not over. It's just how you're going to construct this team to keep the dynasty running. You know, this core's not done yet. They got one more year left. I think Draymond opts in. He comes back to play. They'll work out a deal. But I think the biggest kind of thing is going to be Bob Myers.
Yeah.
Because Bob Myers helped construct all of this here. You know, he helped maintain it. And if you lose Bob Myers, who are you going to bring in that's going to be that aggressive with signing players?
Yeah,
you know
that's a good point, because Bob Myers is the straw that stirs the drink when it comes to all of the acquisitions and contracts and all of that. So that being said, what do you see as being the best move moving forward? Is it to keep the core players together, or is it to maybe switch one of them or two of them out and try to see if you can go get something else to add to it?
I think you try to keep the core for what it is, but you're going to have to move some pieces here. And funny enough, as soon as they mentioned Dynasty coming to an end, they were already talking about players that the Warriors should be getting rid of. And the number one player is Jordan Poole, because that's the biggest contract there. And I think you keep Andrew Wiggins. He's a very good factor. You're not going to find another great defensive player on that roster outside of Draymond to Andrew Wiggins.
Right.
Because Jordan Poole don't play defense, and that was very well known. So I think you can use Jordan Poole because there is talent there, but it's just not going to be found here anymore. You know, he had his opportunity. He squandered the opportunity. People saying, oh, you know, you only gave him a year. That's all he's got. You have to maximize on these opportunities that you have to succeed. And he didn't capitalize on that.
Well, you know, and another.
That's just the tough part. So I think Jordan Poole and even Kuminga, they may part ways with, because Moody really showed himself. And you see the progression that Moody is making. He's becoming a very intelligent basketball player. And I'm not saying Poole or Kuminga isn't, but that's called raw talent compared to experience. The Warriors rather take that experience and trade that raw talent to bring in more experience here.
Yeah, well, I think that may be the best move. You just have to see what you have. You guys do have your draft picks, so that might be a little bit more valuable than Kuminga and Jordan Poole at this point. So I'm sure there's an opportunity to make some small moves to try to upgrade the roster, especially some of the bench, and to get a little bit more focused, I think, on the defensive end of the ball, because I think that's where you guys really fell off. The defense was not there.
That's a focus. That's a team that prides himself on defense, because when it came down to it, even before this, in the 15, 16, and even 17 run, their defense was locked down.
Yeah.
When they had to get stops, you were able to rely on that defense to get a stop. There were no stopping any defense, any offenses from the Warriors end, to say the least there. They almost averaged 120 points against the Warriors. That's a recipe for disaster, man. That's the roles reversed here.
Yeah.
Before we move forward, let's get caught up, because Drunk's got us getting here. He mentioned I talked to Adam Silver early. Hey, get us that Adam Silver connection.
Yeah.
We gotta bring him on the show. And talk to him.
Let's talk to him. For sure.
He said he can't say much about it. Rhymes with Ray injury is incoming game 2.
Oh.
That is.
Huh? Oh, I know who it. I know who it is.
Beret.
I know who it is. I know he's talking about.
I started the season saying Clay should come off the bench for Poole. I got a tough one with that. Klay Thompson does it. He didn't earn the right to come off the bench. You know, as hot as a season Jordan Poole had, it's hard to. Again, Klay Thompson didn't shoot himself out of that. Now, if you said that starting this coming season, I would have been like, that's probably absolutely true. I think it's a battle between him and Poole, but we may not have Poole for the year.
Yeah.
And then Drunk says, unless Draymond comes back for loony money, yes. I think Draymond, as much as he wants to get paid, he's made his money.
Yeah.
He's not going to succeed anywhere else. If anyone can name a team where Draymond is going to have this much success with the guys around him, I would say he's going to go. But if not, he knows his home. He is here in Golden State. Take the money less. You're not gonna get a max contract from any team in this league.
No.
So you might as well just stay at home, enjoy this, send Poole off so he can go thrive somewhere else, and let's get this thing rolling.
Oh yeah, I guarantee you, if they trade Poole, he's taking a pay cut tomorrow.
Oh, 100%. He'll come out swinging with that
What's
one.
that? Oh, you traded Poole? I'll do it for free.
I'll league minimum right now. League minimum right now.
Oh man.
Well, thank you, Warriors, for a great season. It wasn't fun on the road, to tell you that much. To put it in perspective, they won a total of 13 games on the road, and that includes the postseason, folks. So this season was a recipe for disaster, but they held on to that disaster for as long as they could because of that championship DNA. So thank you, Warriors, for an awesome season. I have nothing nice to say about the Lakers, so we're going to jump into that.
I have great respect for the Warriors. I just don't like Jordan Poole and his chat, all the extra finger pointing at D'Lo because of the 4-point play. Those were 4 of the 12 points he scored the entire series. The guy's a nut job. He needs to stay off the court. I'm tired of him. He went out there and tried to play defense on LeBron like a broomstick. He's literally started leaning on him forward, and then when he tried to go around
built
him,
like a broomstick.
LeBron just tripped on his bony knee. I mean, the guy's pathetic. I don't want to hear about him anymore. This is Laker fan coming at me right now. I'm sorry. Don't want to hear about him anymore. He's a bum. I'm sorry. When the lights are turned on and people shrink, I don't like those types of players on my team. And if I were the Warriors, I'd run his butt out of here because in Warrior Land, it's either championship or bust, just like it is in Laker Land. So if your balls get small when the brights get bright, then you need to get out of town.
He said when the
Yeah, I said when your balls get small, when the lights get bright,
we gotta clip that, man.
You need to get out of town. Sorry. All right.
Let's make sure we clip that there. The Warriors are gonna have the most watched free agency here because of that word dynasty is what they're going to do. So everyone's eyes are going to be on the Warriors this year to see how they reconstruct this roster to compete at a very high level, at least a minimum of 1 year left. So, you know me, I've already got players in mind who I'd love to see in the Golden State Warrior uniform.
I can name quite a few, and we talked about this I think on some chats ago. But Big Cat is a big name. Karl Anthony Towns, I think, would do wonders for your team. And I think you guys have been starving for a big
Giannis.
Shut up, man! You're not getting freaking Giannis. You guys have been starving for a big since David West, and so I think you guys really have.
Not wrong.
And so he's a good one. Even Lauri Markkanen, who I know Utah's probably not going to give up, but actually I don't. He's okay, but I don't know if I'd bet chips on him when in playoff games. And then you mentioned the name, and I hate to even bring it up, but pending how Milwaukee chooses to handle the whole coaching situation, if Giannis shows any type of ill, a cough of, I don't like being here, you better believe that the Lakers, not the Lakers, the Warriors.
Not your team.
We already got AD. We're stuck with it. We got AD. So you guys will be the first ticket out there. You'll send your entire team with your coach, general manager, and owner. Get this guy locked up in San Francisco somewhere and try to make it seem like the best thing that's ever happened to him.
Well, all I'm going to say is him and Curry are the best of friends because it's one or the other picking them to play in the All-Star game.
True.
If it's Team Curry or Team Giannis. So one of those two, I think that you'll see it happen. But I'm not hanging my hat on it. It'd be nice. It'd be nice.
Yeah, now we're just Christmas shopping. We're window shopping. Excuse me.
In May, in May of all
Right?
places.
That's how bad Jordan Poole played. That's how,
Oh
hey
God,
man.
he's got his window shopping in May.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Uh,
Let's let's switch over to the conference finals now. It is set earlier today. The Boston Celtics absolutely beat the brakes off the 76ers. Not much to really talk about besides Jason Tatum becoming Jason Tatum for the last two games here. So let's get into the conference finals here, and we're gonna start with your team since this is uncharted territory for my team not to be in the conference finals when they make the playoffs here. So we got the
let's do
Lakers
it.
and Nuggets. This is a rematch of the Bubbles conference finals, to say the least here. There's a lot of intriguing matchups in this here, and I'm going to start with the obvious one. Anthony Davis versus the Joker here. Taj, in your eyes, what kind of matchup does Joker provide to AD?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see him struggling,
Mm-hmm.
and where do you see him succeeding in this matchup? Because this is going to be, I think, outside of LeBron, AD has to kind of lock up the Joker, to say the least.
Yeah, so we're going to want a single guard, and that's where AD is going to have to be able to stand up in some of those post ups. I think Jokic has the advantage on the interior because of his size, and I'm not talking about his height. I'm talking about the width. He's a big dude. He's a load, and he has a pretty good touch around the basket, or really good touch around the basket. He can finish.
Mm-hmm.
He can finish with either hand. He's really good at backing guys down, using his body, using his weight, getting into them, and really punishing guys around the rim. I think Anthony Davis will have an advantage whenever he's faced up against Jokic because Jokic has the slowest feet I have ever seen.
Yeah.
He's not a guy that can move very well laterally, and so if Anthony Davis catches the ball at the 3-point line, much like he did against the Warriors a lot, where he turns and faces and that defender has to come forward, AD can definitely get around him and get to the rim. So there's an opportunity. It's hard to know exactly how this will go. The one thing I will point out that's in the favor of Anthony Davis is his capability to block shots is another way he can impact the game on the defensive end. Whereas Jokic, he'll have some impact on the defensive end, but he's not going to have the same amount of impact that Anthony Davis does. I don't know if folks watched the series, but Anthony Davis was out there switching on to guards, getting back in the paint to rebound, sometimes getting out to a third shooter whenever the ball swung to the corner or the wing, and was able to do more 2 to 3 different motions on the defensive end of the ball in order to contribute to our team, or to the Lakers, excuse me. So Jokic ain't doing that. You know,
well, to my team's defense, the only reason why AD had that kind of success, he didn't have to worry about a center, to say the least. He didn't have to worry about that.
That's true, but I'm talking about on the defensive end as far as what Jokic's capability is. So now what
he's not that great of a defender.
Jokic on the defensive end, it can be kind of a liability, and in the pick and roll, he's absolute trash. And I shouldn't call him trash. He's not very good. And what I mean by the pick and roll is AD comes up to set a screen for LeBron or Reeves or whoever the heck it is. Jokic is not going to be good enough to get out on that guard and recover back into the paint fast enough to stop an AD or to stop a guard from getting to the rim. So the Nuggets are going to have to rely on the other guys to step in and step down into the paint and give AD a nice little bump or something. To keep him from just freely rolling towards the rim. That's the issue they'll have. So I think Jokic, this has the making of a great matchup, but I feel like it's going to be more Anthony Davis's defense versus Jokic's offense more than it is on the other end. I think. Go ahead.
I was actually gonna make that comment because the thing is the Joker is gonna bring Anthony Davis far away from that paint.
Yes.
Because he's got to defend the 3-point line against him. Because you can't. That's a big man. You just can't leave open at the 3-point line because he can hit a 3-point shot.
Right.
So that's going to keep the lane open. But I think the thing that will go the Lakers' way is the size advantage they have with their other defenders here against the Nuggets here, to say the least. They do have the length to really prevent a lot of that pick and roll. It was shown against the Warriors here when they got their hands in the passing lane. Mm-hmm. But AD is going to have to play a little more defense outside of the paint because if the Nuggets are going to zone in on Anthony Davis, it's keeping him away from the basket and having him out there on an island with the Joker. That's where the offensive problem will stand up. So AD is going to have to rely on his back end help to make sure that pick and roll game doesn't lead into easy baskets here, or even coming off ball screens, because the Joker can set a good off ball screen on a handoff to create an open shot. So they're going to have to get around these screens quickly here with the Joker. So I think that's their biggest problem that the Joker presides for the Lakers is him taking Anthony Davis away from the hoop there. For a lot of those back cuts,
and that's why I love the fact that we had the test that we did with the Memphis Grizzlies and with the Golden State Warriors. In the Memphis Grizzlies series, we were playing against a pretty good young JJJ who was, he could play pretty well in the paint. He could also knock down a three. So he was not Jokic at all, but he at least provided us with a little bit of a blueprint. Now we also talked about AD playing away from the rim. That's all the Warriors did. The Warriors did that the entire series. The idea for the Warriors, the switch that they made with adding GP2 into the lineup was all about taking Anthony Davis closer to the three-point line to guard against Curry and Clay, and then getting that short roll guy to get into the short roll and either get a layup, which GP2 did a lot of, or pass the ball to the next man. The Nuggets are they rely heavily on the Jamal Murray and Jokic pick and roll. Like, I would say 70% of their offense is going to be based on that play. So what the Lakers need to do is they need to make sure that they're doing everything they can to squash that play, and try to make sure that they keep guys like Murray and Jokic from getting easy shots or easy baskets in or at the rim. Now, they're going to give up some Jokic threes. I'm not going to lie to you and say that we're going to be out there trying to stop Jokic from shooting, the 5 threes or however many threes he makes a game. We're going to concede some of those. We're going to give a contest, but we're going to concede some of them. And the reason why, and what I believe to be the most important part of this game is Jokic does so much for the Nuggets that he's almost like Luka Doncic, right? Where you're asking them to score, you're asking them to pass, you're asking them to do all these different things to hold up the team offensively. I know that if the Lakers can figure it out and not keep other guys from getting hot, that's the whole concept here. Not give up turnovers, because the Nuggets are very good on the break. Jokic is very good at getting the ball out quick, and he can get the ball down the court quick to a guy who's wide open for a layup. So it's all about rebounding, fast break defense, make Nikola Jokic a scorer. It doesn't matter if he gets 50. The last 50-point game he had, they lost to the Suns. It's all about keeping those other guys from getting hot. And if they can do that, then I think they'll have a great opportunity at winning this series.
Yeah. And so Drunk makes a good comment here, because we're going to talk about X factors. So we'll kind of lead into that one here. But John says the most dangerous player in this series, and I was just thinking about that, is KCP. KCP may have a little bit of resentment for not being a part of this Laker organization. For this to come full circle, for him to have a shot to put the Lakers out of the finals, you may get a surprise game from KCP, maybe even two. I think he's got the potential to really change momentum of the series here.
I'll put it this way. I don't think he's a good enough player to have the momentum of the series. And here's my example. If he's got more points than Jamal Murray, I don't know if that means that they win. Quite honestly.
Yeah, that's true too.
So I think KCP is only good if Jokic is passing him the ball, because he's not a guy that can handle the ball. Again, this goes back to my main point, which is kind of an overall view. Keep Nikola Jokic as a scorer. Let him play one-on-one basketball with AD or whoever we throw out there, and we'll live with the results. It's the same thing we did with the Warriors. We said, we'll make the threes hard, but you can go to the rim if you like. You can take as many mid-range shots and floaters. Take them all day. But we know that that's not your bread and butter. So even if you do take those shots, you're going to want to go back to the three. You can't help it. That's who you are. And I think that's who Jokic is. He's a guy that wants to get out and facilitate for his team. So we got to figure out a way to make sure those other guys don't get going. even if Jokic is going off.
And we've talked about this a lot, and obviously these are always big questions when it comes to the playoffs. But let's talk about the Nuggets bench to the Lakers bench here. Um, let's get your input on this matchup for the Lakers against this Nuggets bench here, um, because the Nuggets don't have anyone that really screams out and like you got to be worried about on the bench. But there is a little consistency on that Nuggets bench there when it comes to a little lightning in the bottle here. So, Taj, as the Lakers get into the matchup, who should they be most concerned about on that bench?
I don't know, man. I mean, Bruce Brown.
To watch out for.
Bruce Brown's great. Jeff Green has been a man with his hair on fire ever since he had the heart surgery. So I mean, you've got guys that can be good role players. I just don't know. I just don't know if these are guys that are going to necessarily take over a game. I do have some worry. Well, actually, you know what? I don't know. One of the things with the Warriors series was, and this is just me. I'm just, this is kind of off the top of my head. One of the things that worried me about the Warriors series was whenever we took AD out the game and those lineups. And so I think that is where the Nuggets can have the most impact with their bench. When AD comes out of the game and them being able to attack the rim. That's where things can get a little bit dicey. So I think the Lakers have to be very aware of what lineup they put out there when they take AD out so that they still have the capability of protecting the rim. So I think for the Lakers, you might see them go to a guy like Wenyen Gabriel maybe. Or maybe even Mo Bamba. I doubt he'll get play time. But they may go to
I don't any time.
They may go to a big Rui Hachimura. I think will be huge in this series. You're going to see guys that are bigger in the game because I think, again, when AD comes out, they're going to need to be able to still compete. And against the Warriors, the moment we took AD out the game, they started running and gunning and, they started doing a lot of things that they wanted to do. And so this is another team where you have to be worried about that. However, AD's minutes should match Jokic's minutes. Jokic should not be out there without Anthony Davis at any point in time.
That's true too.
Any point in time in the series. So I think their bench. I think they have a good bench. They have some guys who can contribute, but I don't know if I don't know if they have a guy that I'm going to look at and say, you know what, that guy's going to do what's his name? I can't even think of his name now.
Lonnie
Walker. I don't know if they got a Lonnie Walker type player. I still feel like this is the team that relies heavily on Jokic to win games.
Yep. It's true to that. So that's gonna be interesting to see that battle of the bench there.
Yeah.
And back again with Drunk. If the stat sheet at any point reads KCP 4 for 5 from 3, Lakers are down 15. In all honesty, that's going to be the reverse role for the Nuggets as well. If Dennis Schroeder, Austin Reeves, any of these guys start getting hot from 3, I think who's gonna get the hottest from 3-point land. I think will be, in my eyes, will be kind of the key here on who they think is going to kind of either keep a lead or even grow a lead for the respective teams here. So I'm looking forward to that. On your side, between both teams, you pick one. Who's your X factor in this series, in this Western Conference Finals?
Oh man, if I have to pick a player, I'm probably gonna say, you know what? I think I've been kind of waffling, I was saying Rui Hachimura because I think his size, athleticism, his ability to come in and play with a Jeff Green, a Aaron Gordon, is going to speak volumes for what our team can do because he can at least stretch out to the 3-point line, stay with those guys, and still rebound. But actually, I think it's D'Angelo Russell. I think D'Lo's a guy that can play very well against a team that doesn't have the greatest front line of defensive folks. Now they could put KCP on him. KCP's a pretty good defender. So is Bruce Brown for the most part. But Jamal Murray's got to guard somebody. And I think that the same thing that happened with Steph Curry, what you saw with Steph Curry and Lonnie Walker and Steph Curry and Austin Reeves and Steph Curry and D'Lo, we're going to find the mismatch because we have enough guys that can handle the ball, that can get after you. So I really think a guy like D'Lo can actually have a good series in this game because there's no real shot blocker at the rim. And so you're going to get floaters all day. And not that the Warriors had any shot blockers, but they ain't got no Draymond Green. And I know people discount him a lot, but you
You
have to
can't.
see what Draymond does on defense, man. He's
Yep.
out there stretching out all the way to the 3-point line, going all the way back to get the rebound, getting out to start the offense. They don't have a player like that on their team. Once you get past that first guy, there isn't another intelligent defender that's going to somehow think, oh yeah, let me go over, stunt, and get back to my man real quick. No, the Nuggets play one way. And so I think that our guards, D'Lo, I'm going to point out D'Lo specifically, are going to have opportunities to go off in these games.
Yeah, we really didn't even get it. We haven't talked a whole bunch of D'Lo, so that's a good pick as far as X factors
look
go.
what Devin Booker did to them. I mean, Devin Booker's a great player. Don't get me wrong. He's a great player. He's an all-star player. But my goodness, they couldn't keep him in front of him. They couldn't keep him in front of him. And then once he got to the rim, there was no one there to stop him from finishing or getting to the free throw line. So the Nuggets defensively have to worry about our guards, because they have to figure out how to keep us out of the paint, because the last thing they need is Jokic at the rim trying to defend guys coming at him full speed. That's not what they want.
Yep. It's not going to work either. And the Warriors have exposed Denver in the past with quick guard play. For a man that size, he couldn't defend a lot of those quick guards. So that's a good one there. For me, my biggest X factor, and this is going to come from the shooting aspect because I enjoy watching shooting a lot, Michael Porter Jr. is going to have to match. He's going to have to fulfill the stat sheet here, to say the least.
Yeah.
Because if Jamal Murray is not having a game, the closest guy you can rely on to that will be Michael Porter Jr. Right by his side. It is the same concept as you look at it from a Steph Curry kind of to Klay Thompson deal. If Jamal Murray does not get going, you got to get going, Michael Porter Jr. And that is how Jamal Murray can also feed off of that, because all that defense will be zoned in on Jamal Murray because he is a scorer, even though his stats don't show it in this postseason. But Michael Porter Jr. is their biggest X factor. I think if he gets going, he may be able to put Denver over the top on getting out of the playoffs and into the finals there, because they have been waiting for him to absolutely blossom with this team here. There's a lot of hype around this guy, and he's got to start developing that trust here. So he's got to have a big series against the Lakers here. So for me, Michael Porter Jr. will be Denver's kind of biggest X factor when it comes to trying to win this series here.
I agree, man. I agree. I think that's the guy. That's the guy that could very well be either the next Jordan Poole, or it could be a guy that comes in and pretty much gives guys buckets. And he's a young player, and when you put young players under bright lights, you either get one or the other. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see.
As we've been saying, whose butthole's going to get the tightest when it comes to the bright lights.
That's right. That's right.
Well, Jay, it didn't take long for JJ to join this conversation. I'm not even going to repeat what he says because it's too damn drawn out, just like their whole organization.
Is what he said.
But let's talk predictions here. Now, I will never put the words LA winning in my conversation, so I'm going to just go with this. I'm taking the Nuggets. This goes full 7. The Lakers and Nuggets, believe it or not, have had some really good postseason battles. The last time they played each other was when Kobe Bryant was around as well. And
the last time they played each other was in the bubble.
Or no, in the bubble. Yeah. But before that bubble matchup, the last time was Carmelo Anthony versus Kobe Bryant matchup, which was very entertaining to say the least. So I'm going to take the Nuggets. I'm going with 7. I will never say those 2 damn words are winning. So Taj, we all know who you are taking.
So I'm taking.
How many games are we looking?
I'm taking the Lakers in 6. I think the Lakers will take one of the first 2 games, protect home court. You know, I watched some of the games early in the season. We beat this team 2 times during the Russell Westbrook era earlier in the season. And one of the things that the Nuggets hung their hat on was really being able to get out on the fast break against us. But one thing they failed to do was to keep Russell Westbrook away from the rim. They had a lot of trouble being able to stay in front of folks and keep them off of the rim. So I look for the Lakers to really get into attack mode. This is a game where they can play in the paint and kick the ball out for guys to knock down shots. I think the mid-range from the free throw area down is going to be open like 7-Eleven. I don't. I'm serious. If the Nuggets have to commit more bodies to the pick and roll, because they don't have players in that backcourt that are going to stop guys at the rim, and so I just think that is a recipe for disaster. The question will be is how well will the Lakers play defensively in the fast break, because we gave up some fast break points against the Warriors for sure, and how well will they play against Jokic? So we'll see how it goes.
All right, let's get a little caught up here. JJ says the bubble, and then he's got a question for me. He says, "Did you see that new house the Warriors made with all them bricks on Friday? They built enough houses for Kuminga and Jordan Poole to live in together."
Dude,
that doghouse.
There were two. There was one play where LeBron ran away from Klay Thompson with the ball and went to Steph Curry.
And you would never see him do that. You would never see him do that.
LeBron was like, you know what? I'll take my
That's
chances.
I mean, why not?
Yeah,
the Warriors couldn't. None of the Warriors were even going to make. I mean, they struggled. I don't want to talk about it, man. We just struggled. It's over. It's done.
It's over.
Let's just not talk about it. Hayame, welcome to the chat. He says better than Flop City in LA. Again, that's a whole conversation for a different day. But good luck to the Nuggets. I hope they do their best. Or setting an illegal screen every play. Stop it. Stop it with the illegal screens here.
I thought the officiating in the last two games was fine. I mean, I don't really see what
Well,
the
of course,
issue
you
is.
guys shot a ton of free throws. Who wouldn't say the officiating
The
was fine?
last two games, y'all shot more free throws than us in the game before.
No, dude, we've never, not in one of these game series did we ever lead it in free throw shooting. So stop that, all right?
Oh man,
Let's put that to rest.
Just go get a bigger player that can drive to the hoop and get foul calls, man. You're not gonna get him with Steph Curry.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyways,
awesome.
As we digress from all of that Laker talk here, the East has a monster matchup. Now, you wouldn't think it because it is an 8 seed in the conference finals, but this is, in fact, the most dangerous 8 seed I think the NBA has ever seen in these. And the Lakers, unfortunately, are not a scary 7 seed, to say the least. But, you know, the Heat don't have a guy named LeBron James on their roster, and yet they are making problems for every team in the Eastern Conference, and they will be matching up with the Boston Celtics. Another rematch of the bubble conference finals, but this time without a bubble around them. So, Taj, we have talked a lot about how the Heat just do not deserve to be here, yet they are just 4 games away from being in the NBA Finals. So, I will propose this question to you. Boston obviously has a very high challenge in containing Jimmy buckets. If they contain Jimmy, who is Boston asking to beat them outside of Jimmy Butler?
Dude, for some reason, Kevin Love has been very good. I can't even think of the other guy's name. You know, obviously, Adebayo has been playing very well. Who's that other guy? There's this other guy that's been knocking down threes. I can't think of his name right now. But the reason the Heat are so scary is because nobody knows who these people are. I mean, you're going out there.
Exactly.
You have to guard every guy on their team because all of a sudden, all of them have become the spirit of Pat Riley has filled their body, and they're out there playing 100 miles an hour every single play, defending hard every single play, in your face every single play. No, not Caleb Martin, the other guy, the short guy. Sorry, it was responding to JJ. But Caleb Martin has also played well too. But I mean, dude, they're literally they lost Tyler Hero earlier in the Milwaukee series, and
we all thought that was going to really change them, and it hasn't.
Nothing. Crickets.
Frick, man.
I think.
It's it.
There you go. Look, check this out. Boston gave up a dumb game to the Heat. To the Hawks, and then in the next series they went 7 when they really shouldn't have gone 7. Gave up the first game at home. They cannot play those silly games with this Heat team. This Heat
No,
team has no pressure on them whatsoever. They have no pressure. They're out there playing YMCA basketball. They're out there playing like me if they took my spirit and dumped it in LeBron's body, basically. Like, think about it, B. Think about it. If you woke up tomorrow and you were 6'8", 230 pounds, and 5% muscle, what kind of game would you play in the next pickup game? Oh,
hey, trust me, I'm not the tallest person in the world, so being 6'8" would just be a miracle for me, just regardless.
I'm saying
no,
you
right.
would go crazy.
Right.
You would go crazy, right? You'd just be dunking and driving and guarding and just you go berserk. And that's what the Heat are doing, and that's what makes them a dangerous team. The Celtics don't have Ime Udoka this time around, so if there was some extra intensity that they were getting from their coach, maybe it's not there. I can't count the Heat out, man. Like I want to say the Celtics have top to bottom the better team, but after what they did to Milwaukee, after what they completely obliterated the Knicks, it went 6. Don't get me wrong, but the Knicks looked inept in very large portions of those games. They looked like they were just getting beat by their daddy, and so.
No, they got beat by Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
Who is their daddy?
Who is their daddy? Yes. Ask Minnesota about that. So yeah, I can't count them out. This thing is definitely gonna go 7 games. I don't know. We're gonna pick in a moment. I don't even know what to pick right now, even though we made our picks before the show. Go ahead, B. I'll let you take it from there.
Let's talk about a coach who isn't really spoken about, and that is Eric Spoelstra here, who has done a fine job since his last NBA Finals appearance on maintaining a very, very good culture for players to come play in Miami here. The fact that they got Jimmy Butler here, and I think they're getting Jimmy Butler in his prime, but Eric Spoelstra gets his guys to play hard every single day. And you hear that a lot about different coaches of the NBA, but there's something that he is doing to drive that extra spirit. You don't see 8 seeds getting this far in the playoffs. Look at last year's 8 seed. It was the Atlanta Hawks of all teams. Put that Atlanta Hawks team to this 8 seed Miami team, it doesn't match up.
No.
It really doesn't. And Eric Spoelstra has done such an amazing job over the last years. It gets overshadowed because of the other coaching. But he has been walking in silence, maintaining a very good culture. And again, I say it, they find themselves 4 wins away from being back in the NBA Finals. So I just wanted to give Spoelstra that love here because no one talks about it. In years where coaches are just being fired for no damn reason, the Heat haven't lost trust in Eric Spoelstra.
Yeah.
They've allowed him to construct this team along with Pat Riley to have a winning culture here. So kudos to Spoelstra for bringing this Heat team back to the conference finals when no one thought they would even get past the Milwaukee Bucks, to say the least. So just like we did with X Factors, T, I'll start with you first. In this series, who do you see as the biggest who's going to be the biggest contributor for either team?
I'm going to point out a player that could kind of hurt and help, and that's Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart can either hurt or help this series. There are moments where he's the best defensive player in the game, and there are also moments where his last name doesn't make any sense, especially in some late game situations. He jacks up a lot of interesting shots. He turns the ball over a little bit, considering that he's a guard and really shouldn't be playing point guard. I think Malcolm Brogdon should handle the ball off more often than not. And he's one of those guys that, if relied upon, could kind of hurt the Heat in late game situations. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because I guarantee you that most of these games are, this is going to be a close series. And so a play here and a play there are probably going to determine how it goes. So if you get the good Marcus Smart and he's defending his butt off and you put him on Jimmy buckets for, maybe not all the time, but, enough to challenge him, that's great. If you get a guy trying to jack up threes and turning the ball over late in games, you might end up dropping a game that you shouldn't have. So that's going to be the guy. I'm going to pick Marcus Smart, and he can go either way.
So I guess we're both going with Celtics players. So the Celtics have a lot of
Yeah,
pressure
because who do
onto
you
this
pick on the
series.
Heat, man? They're all X factors.
Exactly.
All
Um, with Jason Tatum,
right.
he
Yeah, that's
finally
true.
had 2 good games, but you're gonna need 7 good games to match Jimmy Butler because Jimmy Butler has not had a bad game this entire postseason. And that's who you're gonna have to go bucket to bucket with, or you got to try to do better than him. And Jason Tatum has shown signs of absolute dominance. Look at Game 6; he scored 15 points in the last 2 minutes to stave off elimination, and absolutely took over Game 7 today. So he's trying to make that transition to being an elite player. This is where you match up. You are going to have to go bucket for bucket with Jimmy Butler here because he's going to get his. So Jason Tatum is going to have to match that same energy. If he doesn't stay consistent, the Celtics are not winning this. I don't see him winning it in general, but he's going to be their guy that keeps them in this series before the Jimmy show takes over.
All right, and then that brings us directly to our predictions. So go ahead, B. You mentioned it. You kind of alluded to it earlier. Who you got?
I'm taking the Heat in 6. They close it out. They find a way, man.
I don't blame you, man.
We even stopped betting against them.
Yeah, you're
We
right.
took them against the
Yeah,
Bucks. We took them against the Knicks. I'm running
yeah,
with
you're
it.
right.
Now, I'm not saying go to Vegas with these picks here because we've all seen how I've done with that. But all I'm saying is until they lose, until they're kicked out, you cannot bet against them.
You know
So
what?
Heat and 6.
B has convinced me. I'm changing my pick. I'm gonna go with the Heat in 7. I just feel like it's something about this team. Every time they're in the playoffs, they do something special. They took this team to 7 games just last year, so it's not like they're unfamiliar with them. They played them before
Yep.
in a high intensity game, and I just feel like the Celtics are still as good as they are last year, but not quite as good. And so I really feel like the Heat have an opportunity here. They're going to be playing hard every single second. They're not going to allow Boston to breathe. And that's going to put guys in a ringer to where they're going to have to play in a grind. And I think the Celtics are capable of playing that way. But I think, honestly, in a seventh game, it could go either way. So I'm gonna pick the Heat 7.
Now, just to confirm, before we got on the show, we were talking about this.
Yeah,
Taj went
yeah, I
with the
went with the
Celtics in
Celtics. I
7,
did.
but I'm glad I was able to convince
Yeah,
you to buy ice if I was
I
selling
mean,
you an Eskimo here.
dude, the more we were talking about it,
Um,
it's just like, damn it.
Now, look, generally this show would be over by now, but man, I don't know if you got the update today, but my phone went off and I was just in celebration. Why, you may ask? Because John Morant decided to do more dumb stuff on his day off, and he's probably going to get fired on his day off, just like Dylan Brooks did. John Morant, once again, goes on Instagram Live and is in the car with his homeboys, flashing another gun in his hand like a complete dumbass here.
Right.
To give everyone the backstory, John Morant did this earlier in the season after a loss to the Nuggets at a strip club. He was then dismissed from the team, supposedly went to rehab, went on ESPN with
We don't know.
Jalen
Yeah,
Rose.
some type of therapy session. I don't even know what. I don't know. We
Doing
don't know
therapy
what he did.
sessions.
I don't know what he did.
He was going to regroup who he was hanging out with here, right? Well, I'm glad to see it's all paying off because he's back out here doing the same dumb shit again. Taj, what was your reaction today?
Well, I guess he should just change his name to Ja Rule or something. I don't know. I mean, I just think John Morant is trying to crap away his NBA career one IG live at a time, and he thinks that we're back in the '90s, I guess, and somehow showing a gun on TV or this whole holding money. I don't know who is handling this young man or who is handling his press or helping him out, but they are doing him a great disservice. He was able to escape with just a slap on the wrist the first time around.
Which I think is utter dog crap on how that was handled.
We talked about that. We talked about how it was dog crap. I even brought up the whole Kyrie Irving thing and how he was suspended and had to go through 50 different hoops. for retweeting something about some movie that I've never even watched. Now we've got John Morant brandishing a weapon on 2 different occasions, and doing it voluntarily. Nobody came up from behind him with a phone and just, oh look, we happened to catch John Morant out with the strap on him. No, this fool's all on the IG live dancing and singing and holding for the second time in a row.
Bro,
It's just stupid, man.
what makes it worse is in the second video you can see him reaching for it too. He goes into you can see him make the reach before the video shows. You know what I'm saying? Like, you lie. If I was the Memphis Grizzlies, I'd be pissed off right now that he lied to you guys. He literally lied to this organization about getting help. He lied to this organization about finding a different group. He lied to this organization about just making better choices. You didn't make better choices. You continuously are staying that route. Now, I showed my sister. If you guys are on TikTok or any of that nature there, type in John Morant Crip. And there is an actual gangbanger who literally calls out John Morant being a fake gangster and says, if you think you'd like this, come have a meeting with me. He challenges John Morant to go have a meeting with him. And he even tells you, he says, I have no remorse. I just want to have a conversation with him on why he's doing this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He says, John Morant's not about that lifestyle. And Ja, you were not about that lifestyle.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be doing this.
Right.
And in all honesty, I'm going to ask you this right now here. What is the punishment now for Adam Silver?
Well,
because he cannot allow the Grizzlies to dictate it anymore. He now has to take a center stage on this.
Yeah, so right now what they're doing is they're suspending him from all team activity or all NBA activities until they do more investigation. Ultimately,
they ain't got no NBA activity. They ain't doing nothing.
Exactly. Well, he found something to do to get himself fired on his day off, as we mentioned earlier. So I think what they're gonna do is, if they find out or they confirm that, hey, that was a weapon that was in the car and he had it, and that's what it looks like, obviously, then I think he gets suspended for the entire year. I don't think you see John Morant for the entire next season. And I think that's what they'll take. They have to take this seriously. It's the same thing that happened to Gilbert Arenas and Javar Crittenden, who's in jail, I think, now for murder, isn't he?
But they didn't get caught twice.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a one-time thing.
It was. Although somebody could actually got shot. It wasn't them. They weren't dancing. But and it was on team. It wasn't a team facility. So John Morant's going to have to hire a lawyer quick, and he's going to have to really try to lawyer himself up and to fight against the league, which is likely going to suspend him for a year, if that's where he is. So I'm really over this. This Grizzlies team has been wanting to be pretend gangsters, just like their leader. We watched Dylan Brooks pretend like he was a gangster until he realized he had an employer, and then when that happened, he got fired. John Morant may be in the same circumstances if he's not careful. He may lose money through endorsements. He's gonna lose money from his team. There's a chance that maybe the Grizzlies say, hey, you know what, we're gonna part ways with you. There are all types of things that can happen that could lead to the end of his career. I just think this guy's an idiot, and I'm saying that being funny a little bit, but I really wish the best for him. I don't want to see any young man with this much potential just throw all of it away. I don't think any of us want to see that. But whenever you continually put yourself in the spotlight, trying to show yourself as being whatever this is, at some point, more so than just the league, somebody might believe you. And then maybe we're having a story about someone actually getting hurt or shot. And that's where you don't want to be as a human being, no matter what you do. So Ja really needs to take 2 steps back and think about himself as a man. He has a daughter. The idea of that gun being with him, or him feeling the need to be protected in that manner, he may be putting himself in harm's way. Go hire
security everyone else.
Stupid, man.
Jesus Christ. And Nike, Nike's not going to mess around anymore. No. This is the second time.
They're going to boot
Dude,
him.
he couldn't even get past his first shoe launch, and now he's losing his deal with Nike.
They booted Kyrie not that long ago. I'm pretty sure they're going to boot him too.
Powerade. See that sponsorship gone. Powerade was trying to make him the face. And again, we have these same conversations, but it just I don't get it. Like JJ says it here. Why is it so hard to go and enjoy your
You're a
vacation,
millionaire,
dude? You had the grind of the NBA season. You've already had one bad thing happen. So go isolate somewhere.
Go home.
Go to a
You have a child. Go play with your daughter. Do like Jimmy Butler did. What you gonna do? Jimmy said, "I'm gonna go get ice cream with my daughter. I've been gone for a while. I'm gonna hang out with my family." Like, I mean, what is up with these? Like, you really think there's a future in being a pretend gangster? There's no future. There's no future in being a real gangster. So I mean, what exactly are you doing? Like it boggles the mind. I'm just, this is one of those stories I feel like in 10 years we'll come back and we'll say, "Hey B,
we told you so."
You remember John Morant?" And then we'll both go, "That guy's an idiot." Honestly, that's
it was mind blowing today because I was just like, dude, how did you not learn your lesson? Apparently not. And again, it's easy for us to say, hard for us to do. You have all this money in the world, and like you said, NBA, any sports athlete loses time with their family because of what their profession asks for them. It asks for to be in the gym every day, on the road. You don't get to spend time with your family. And now that you have a daughter, dude, stop.
Yeah.
Take your daughter to Disneyland. Go on the vacation with your wife. Do stuff to keep you away from all of this here. And then when the time is right to get back to basketball, you're focused on basketball. 9 years. They're asking you to enjoy yourself for the next 9 years and stay out of trouble. If somebody gave me $200 million and said, "Brian, go to work for 9 months or 6 months, and then for the rest of the year, stay out of trouble," dude, I'd go build a house that everything that I needed was right there to my disposal.
Right.
I'd be going to places I've never seen before. Just stay out of trouble, man. Again, a lot for us to say. If we had the money, I guarantee you, Taj, you and I probably be in the same vacation house together.
Oh man, I'm chilling.
I'm
chilling, bro.
Exactly.
Are you crazy? Yeah, man. Where you at? Oh, I'm in Puerto Vallarta. I'm in France. I'm
Barcelona.
in England. Yeah, I'm in Spain. I'm everywhere. I'm chilling. Like I don't want to be on IG dancing around with a gun like a freaking stupid. Yeah, like what's the point of that?
JJ brings up a good point. Hopping on that Warzone all off season. And in fact, if you need to hold the gun, go play Warzone.
There you go.
At least you can shoot it and not get in trouble for it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, man.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to bring this type of danger into your life when you don't have to. Most rappers that are walking around got bodyguards with them. You know what I mean? So, I mean, even...
Except for T.I. T.I. had a trunk full of damn...
Well,
he had a rocket launcher in his car,
yeah,
too.
but he used to actually be in that world at one time. And from what I know of John Morant, I don't think that's the case. Or his father, as far as I know, who's been married to his mother for a long time. I just don't see... where this is coming from.
I don't see it,
man.
So... T, when is your team? When do the Nuggets play?
Tuesday, baby, and we're playing every other day because the league is mad at basketball. I'm telling you.
Yeah, this is unreal,
what's
man.
up with this. The 16th, the 18th, the 20th, the 22nd, the 24th, the 26th, the 28th. If it goes 7, they are pushing this thing like nobody's business. Like, I am so confused.
That's it. This is the NBA's way of saying, all right, you want to do the whole load management? Well, now you're playing every other day in the playoffs.
Exactly. And I'm trying to look at the Eastern Conference Finals to see. The Eastern Conference Finals is also every other day. Yeah. So the league just decided to speed it up.
Yeah. I bet you if no team was load managing, we probably have a 4-month NBA postseason.
Yeah, well,
this is the fastest it's gone in my mind. Like,
no, you're right.
Just blowing right through.
Yeah, and I don't know if it has something to do with those first couple of games in the tournament, the play-in tournament. Maybe that because of that added time, they have to push the traditional playoffs a little bit longer. But yeah, man, they're pushing it every 2 days. Boston to Miami, Denver to LA. So. We'll see how it goes.
Tired bodies, to say the least. There'll be some tired bodies.
Hey.
Well, let's give a shout out to JJ, Timmy Tim, Drunk, Mama. Everyone who's watching as well, thank you guys for taking your Mother's Day, and hope you had a chance to enjoy your Mother's Day with your mama that you love.
That's right.
I don't know, T, you got anything
No,
else?
that's it. Just happy Mother's Day again to all the moms, my mom, my grandmother, all my grandmothers, everybody. So just enjoy it, enjoy it, enjoy it. Yeah, man, we're gonna keep rolling through the playoffs along the way, and eventually we're gonna start rolling into some football stuff in another month and a half, I guess.
I know, dude. If it wasn't for John Moran, we'd be talking about the NFL schedule.
Yeah, or the
But
fact that
we'll save that for
a
another
certain
time.
Tom Brady's trying to buy the Raiders. Okay, awesome, or a stake in the Raiders, I should say.
We'll get your input on that
my
the
God.
next
Yeah,
at the next go
time,
around here.
Next time. Oh, that's so bad. That's so bad. All right. Anyway, all right, folks. Well, we appreciate you joining us. Have a good night. Enjoy your families. Happy Mother's Day again. And until next Sunday, we are out. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and like and hit the notification button. It's all right, Joe.
And share this with everybody.
That's right. Please, please. Good night.